cornmeal mix. I've already measured it out. I usually use the other one, the Auntie Mama cornmeal mix. But remember, if you do not know how to cook, the best ingredients, if you do not know how to cook cornbread, or you don't know how to do it from scratch, or you just always off on your measurements for baking soda, baking powder, and stuff like that, always get self-rising stuff so you won't have to deal with baking powder and baking soda and stuff like that. People that's perfectionists can get cornbread down packed with measurements with baking soda, baking powder, those type of ingredients. So the best thing to do is buy self-rising, no matter what you buy, even if it's self-rising flour to make cakes, pies, and stuff like that, buy self-rising. I don't usually use this brand. I usually use Auntie Mama. So this will be the first time I use this cornmeal mix. And it says self-rising, so when you're in the grocery store, there's a lot of meals. I know about Bartons. I've cooked it all. And I can tell you how all of them taste. See, this say flour, salt, and baking powder already blended in. This is for cooking dummies. Meaning that you don't have a clue. So, even if the person gave you a recipe, there'll be all this two teaspoons that, 1 teaspoon, 1/4 that. Get this so you won't have to deal with the blending of the flours or the meals and stuff like that. So this is cornbread. Normally I usually get Auntie Mama and I just do it basic and I do all my measurements on my own. But since I picked this one up, so I said, let me try it. I think I got it at Central Market. I really don't care for it. I don't know if I care for it, but what I'm going to do is make the cornbread. Now understand, cornmeal it's the same thing that goes on your corn dogs. You can even season this. If you don't have any seasonings for your fish, you can take this and mix up different seasonings with the cornmeal to make your batter for your fish. For those that didn't know that, or you making corny dogs, homemade corny dogs, you can dip it with your cornmeal batter, dip it, and then fry your dog. Some people know about the corn Tex mix. I know about the corny bread as well. I know about a lot of different type of things that you can do with corn mix, but we're just gonna make corn. I'm gonna try to use this brand. I already pre-mixed it, but I wanted to go over something else because on one of my live videos, I did remember talking about sugar. My brother bought an off brand. I can't remember what off brand it is. Sugars has a lot to do. The brands has a lot to do. All of them have different consistencies. And all of them do. Why people choose impure sugar over other brands? Some are too powdery. Some are too clunky. See how this is the off brand. How it always clumps up. It hadn't been in no moisture. The consistency is even different. It's different compared to Imperial. See how smoothly blend. The texture and flavors. Sugar sometimes, depending on how the process has a lot to do with the consistency. If you ever had cake or pie shells, and have you ever even dealt with flour, it's a difference in flours. I always tell people use gold metal. They were out of self-rising, so I did the all-purpose. So if I make a cake, I'm gonna have to do it from scratch. Or if I make a biscuits, I'm gonna have to include the baking powder, baking soda, all that stuff. Those when it's just plain all-purpose versus self-rising. Self-rising comes with pretty much all the main ingredients, which you will find the baking powder that you don't have to add now. But if your ingredients require baking soda, then that's something that you would have to add. But I wanted to go over that with you. In our family, okay, this is Thanksgiving. We're really not celebrating it, but we still got to eat during the week. So I'll just be cooking meals. I do like to make dressing, and I usually make my dressing from scratch. I used to do it, if you want a quick fast, I use Martha's corn mix. Some people use, what is that in the box? That tastes like cake. I don't like that. That's not, to me, everybody like it. If you like sweet dressing, then people use that. But that is not traditional dressing. Traditional dressing doesn't have sugar in it. But this is just a basic. All it was going to require, since it's already pre-mixed, is 2 cups of cornmeal, 1 egg, and it's going to require 1 to 1.5 cup of milk. I already pre-measured this. And 3 tablespoons of oil. Now, when it comes to oils, I usually use either pure butter, which I got real butter. I've used unsalted and salted. So it just depends on a lot of recipes calls for unsalted or salted. Doesn't make a difference. So I have this. Got a little cold. I had already melted, but so I'm going to put it on the ice so it can melt back down. And what I may do is I may add corn. People that knows about cornbread, it's real sweet cornbread and buttery cornbread. So I may use extra butter inside of it. Okay. Whew. Hadn't cooked all week hardly. So, but I got my grandson. He's been asking for cornbread all week. So this is 2 cups of cornmeal pre-mixed. When you see self-rising on the package, meaning that you don't have to add the baking powder in it. A lot of people pick stuff up and they don't have a clue. But it's for cooks that do not know how to do the measurements right, or they're first-time cookers. Always get to self-rising. It'll make it faster and quicker, and you don't have to. Because when you go about recipes, I'm telling you about recipes. Recipes, I don't care how many cornbread brands you use. They have their own different ingredients make. All of them are not going to be the same ingredients at all. There's going to be a little variation in measurements and everything. This on the back already have it. So if you are cooking dummy, follow the directions on the back of the package unless you have gotten your cooking down pat. If you got your cooking down pat, then you'll be okay. So, but I'm wasting milk. But it's okay. Okay, it's a 3 tablespoons of vegetable shortening, 2 cups of real pearl milling company self-rising yellow cornmeal mix. It's a 1 to, I got my glasses on my eyes. I don't know why I'm not using them, y'all. Y'all know I can't see. I don't have any prescribed, but I have reading glasses. I melted the butter, so I'm going to take it off there. Now, another thing, some people say that hot water cornbread, people do it in a skillet. They make like pancake patties with cornbread. You eat it. Or muffins. It's all the same no matter what it is. It's just how it's got something to do with the consistency, the thickness of the meal. But as I already put, it's two cups of pearl milling self-rising. You know I don't use this brand. That's why I'm not familiar with it. Now, if I had Aunt your mama, I would have to add flour and all the other ingredients. But this is self-rising where you don't have to put the flour, the salt, the baking powder in. This is what I recommend for people that don't cook. So when you're going grocery shopping, look for self-rising if you want to do some baking. It still be considered homemade cooking. It just cut your cooking time down short. But you still always want to do all your dries. So all my dries already pre-mixed, so I don't have to worry about any measurements. So the thing I'm adding is an egg, 1 egg. And you make sure when you become good at your cracking, you won't get any shells in your food. So I don't worry about it because I know how to crack the egg and what not to put in there. And I don't have to pre-blend my flour and meal because it's already pre-mixed. I'm adding, and turning on my eye, I'm adding the milk slowly. I may not need the half. Then why I'm not going to use the half? I'm going to use that for another dish or something. I want to say this. Say if you don't have milk, can you use other milks? Most definitely can. You can use other milks. Coconut milk, whatever milk you have, soy milk. Milk is milk. Because some people have low milk intolerance. I'm cleaning up my mess. say for instance, yeah, if you don't have milk, some people will have to substitute and use water only. Just because it doesn't mean it's not going to come out right. It just may have a different flavor or texture. But you should be fine even if you don't have milk. It should be fine. Because all cornbread is not created equal and does not always have the same ingredient pattern. Now, it asks for 1 egg, 1.5 cup of milk, and 1 to 2 tablespoons of sugar. Now, I'm going to use my favorite sugar, Imperial. And I'm probably going to put a little bit more sugar in there because I want a sweet cornbread. So you really have to be cautious on your sugars. This is 1 tablespoon. I love this brand. It's Oneida. I may be pronouncing it Oneida, Oneida. It's been around for years. This is something that my mother told me about this brand. And it's, you know, they have warranties on these brands. There's a reason why some brands are expensive, because sometimes they have warranties on it. So sometimes your utensils give out or what have you. So brands does matter in some cases. This is 1 tablespoon. I'm going to add another tablespoon. The reason I didn't put the half in there because I'm going to add cornbread. Corn. I say cornbread. Corn. And I'm going to add butter. I made my own consistency of corn. My sister gave me some off-brand. She's an off-brand girl. I'm not an off-brand girl. So I put 1 cup and a half of corn in here. It's already has sugar in there. I had to add a little to milk and stuff like that and cook it on the eye so it can come out a little bit better. And so I'm going to add me some butter because I like buttery cornbread. And I'm going to mix. I don't know how it's going to come out because I've never used this brand. I have my corning. Now I have to find my famous spatula. I wonder where did I put it this morning. I might have to use the spoon. But what I'm going to do, I'm going to add some butter in here. About 1 tablespoon. It's already soft. The reason I got my butter out is because I'm be doing a lot of cooking this week. I'm going to let that butter melt inside that skillet because I want butter all inside of the pan. Now, I've never used this brand, so we'll see if it's going to come out okay. I doubt it, but I'm going to try. I used everything that it told me. I'm going to tell you what I don't like. Only thing I add is corn, and it still shouldn't give this consistency. And I didn't even add the half a cup of milk in there. It calls for 1.5 cup of milk, and the consistency is a little bit thinner than what I normally would do. See, because I would like a little bit thick consistency. Brand does make a difference. This is the consistency that it gave. So, I don't know. It may come out right. I just tell the difference between Aunt Mama meal versus this meal. It's the difference in the consistency of the meal and how it turns out. Because usually, maybe it absorbs, it's still absorbing. It's gonna take a while. Cause I am using dry and it was warm corn. You know what I don't like? Y'all say, how she eating tasting the batter? I do taste no matter what batter is, because it does matter. This brand, just the taste, texture. I've tasted Aunt Mama's too. I feel the powder flour taste. Somebody else may have used Pearl Milling Company before. This is my first time using it. But I'm not feeling sure about this brand. It has a lot of salt in it. That salt, it has a lot of salt, and I taste the salt in the powdery texture. That's why I gotta feel comfortable with what I'm used to, and I picked this up by accident because they didn't have Aunt Mama where I went to. But I'm gonna have to order my Aunt Mama. I'm gonna have to add a little sugar because I don't like salty. I'm gonna add some more sugar in here. I don't like salted cornbread. It tastes like a whole bunch of sodium. Now this is pre-mixed cornbread, so I didn't put 2 1/3 in there just to give it a more sweeter taste, because that don't supposed to taste. I already had sweet corn. It has sugar in it and butter, and this meal is salty. It's salty, y'all. That's why. So I add a little more sugars in there to give it a sweeter taste, because I want a buttery sweeter taste, not a salty taste. So with this brand, make sure if you do buy the premix, I'm going to say this is my first time using it. If you use this brand, self-rising yellow cornmeal mix, remember it has flour, salt, baking powder, already blended inside. And so what I tasted the flour powdery consistency, but I tasted more sodium inside of it rather than the blend. So if you do buy this brand, or a brand, like if you buy this brand, which is good for people that the first time cookers for cornbread, remember you're gonna have to adjust the flavoring for your liking. That's just like on most ingredients, it tell you it's optional. When you see the word optional, salt is optional, sugar is optional with all brands of things. That if they asking for a small dose, sometimes they may say 1/3, 1/4. Some of them may say a half teaspoon. When you see salts and sugars added, that is optional. So a person that don't do salt, they wouldn't naturally add salt in their corn mix. If I was doing it homemade, when I say homemade, it would not be a self-rising. It would just be the cornmeal itself, and I would do the 2 cups of cornmeal and the flour. It wouldn't be. It could be. I may use self-rising flour. I may use all-purpose flour. Only thing about self-rising, it already have the baking powder in where you don't have to add it. The other additional ingredients you would have to add. Now, based on this, it has more than 2 ingredients in it. It has the salt, baking powder, and flour. That's 3 ingredients pre-mixed. So a person that cannot cook, I would suggest this, because you don't have to do nothing but add 1 egg in the milk. And it costs 1 1/2. When it costs, say, in between 1 1/2, you have to adjust it. Meaning it goes based on the consistency of thickness. Of course, the more water is, the lighter the consistency of the bread will be. The filler, it will be either a light consistency. The thicker it is, the more thicker your cornbread is. That's all it does when you put less water in it. It thickens it up, versus if you stretch it by adding more milk, it makes it thin and a lighter texture. That's all it is, a lighter filler when you're tasting it. That's the only difference. Now, I'm going to try to get to use this cornmeal up, but what I didn't do, I just picked it up. I didn't even read it to see if it was just a regular. I thought it was just a regular. I got fooled by the yellow. That's what happened. I got fooled by the yellow, and I thought it was Aunt Mama because I just looked at the yellow. But I forgot. Central Market and Whole Foods don't carry Aunt Mama, not in Texas, maybe somewhere else. And so, Pearl Milling Company, you wouldn't believe it, no matter what brand it is, everything that they use the ingredients for, no matter what companies, it's a different consistency. Corns even is different. Even when you're raising corns, there's different types of corn, so it has a lot to do with how your meals come out. Now, since I've melted the butter in here, for those that are first-time cookers, you can use regular oil. Get out of here, little girl. You can use regular oil. Some people use vegetable oil. Some people use whatever to coat their pans. I wonder if this is going to be a disaster. And I'm usually dead on the cornbread because I usually even make my homemade cornbread. I do the homemade. The short versions, people that do it, they use either the Martha's cornbread to help. I just can't believe I lost my favorite spatula. I misplaced it. I was hoping that I would find it, but evidently somebody else watched it and misplaced it for me. I don't sit in the kitchen, so I'm gonna have to use a spoon. I'm gonna go in and reblend this again. Anytime, oh, let me say this. Anytime you let your meal or your batter sit, and you go somewhere and it's been more than 3 to 5 minutes, it's best to go back and reblend it again. Don't just go and dump it in the thing, because things about liquids and flours and stuff like that is separate. And so the baking powder, it still needs the consistency. It needs to still be blended. So even if I've been talking to you all, I still go back and I blend my ingredients. I don't have my little spatula. I can cry. It'll come up later on. I will be doing another segment. The segment I will be doing is probably, I'm going to make some rice pudding. That's one of the dishes my mother made too for us growing up. So I'm gonna pour this batter that I'm not confident in the pot. I don't like to see how it runs, so that means it's gonna be real thin. It's gonna be a thin consistency. It might come out right. It might. Who knows? I won't know until it's finished baking. It say, for those that has never cooked, on the back of your packages, I always tell you to preheat your oven. My oven been preheated for probably over an hour because I've been running around the house doing a lot of stuff. If I had my spatula, I can get all of it out. I usually never leave batter behind. Now, another trick I do that I like to do is, y'all probably say, oh, she's an overkill on the sugar. But I do like to do this to give it a sweet topping. And see, at the top of it, it has the butter has melted. And so even though I had moved the pan all around, some of the butter has risen to the top. So we're going to see how this happens. What's going to happen? So I'm going to go on and place this in the oven and let it bake. And according to Pearl Milling Company, it says it takes anywhere from 25 to 30 minutes to bake cornbread. That's what it says. Anywhere from 20 to 25 minutes. And reason they say this because it's supposed to feed anywhere from 9 to 10 servings of people as well. Because I use 2 cups of their mixture. Everybody's oven varies. So So we want to keep that in mind, that the oven does varies. No matter if you have a gas stove or electric stove, no matter what brand, your 425 is not going to be the same as somebody else's 425. Some people ovens cook too fast. Some people cook too slow. So they may have to turn the settings down if their oven cooks too fast. They'll know if a lot of stuff always burning up. So a lot of time it has something to do with the adjustment of the electrical or the brand stove or oven you have. Just like gas. Some gas stoves, they really cook fast. That does have a lot to do with how stuff get cooked too fast. And how the oven is sealed properly. But yes, we're gonna see how it stays anywhere from. Why always, y'all? No, I always lose the glasses or misplace the eyeglasses. When I say I always misplace them. I set them down somewhere in here. Oh. Y'all know where I put them? I put them in where the utensils at. That's crazy. But since I have a reading glasses, not because of just my age, because the age wasn't the issue, because I have degenerate eye disease, dealing with diabetes and other high potential stuff. So that's what happens when you start having a little mild health problems. I'm going to call them little mild health problems. It started affecting your eyes. And so my eyes was always 20/20, but now for the past 3 years, my eyes getting worse due to degenerate eye disease. So sometimes it's difficult for me to see. So instead of paying the eye doctor, because I lost the prescription kind, I said, let me go in these Targets, because I got these at Targets. I didn't even know they had reading glasses. They have little fancy ones versus the CVS and Walmart. I went through so many reading glasses, I don't even want to talk about it. They either broke, got chewed up by the dog, or I lost them, or one lens popped out. So these are the ones from Targets. So that's why I got them on. I like them. But anyway, it takes 20-25 minutes. So if you have a oven, you'll be able to set your oven for 20 to 25 minutes and push start. And within 20-25, she thinks that she's gonna get something, but she's not. And I hadn't hollered and put her out the kitchen yet, because normally that's what I do. So what I normally do is, instead of allowing everything to sit, I go in and rinse my bowls out. Another thing I do is, anytime I get something out of the oven, I'm just rinsing this with hot water, because this is stainless steel. Anytime I get anything out of the cabinet, pots, pans, if I'm on here, you're going to always see me rinsing them or putting a little soap, even though they've been washed. And the reason I do that, because critters do crawl. I don't care where you live. Critters, spiders. You don't know what you got going in your house when you go to sleep, because at night times you never know what's crawling in your cabinets. You can get an exterminator. It's just better to be safe and sorry. If you have a rodent that might crawl and pee in your, this is my mindset, might crawl and pee in your pots and you trying to use it. I think not. So it's better to be safe and sorry, and always the pots and pans and dishes in place to clean them, re-clean them, rinse them off. Even with my plates, even if we wash them, I'm gonna still go back and rinse them and wipe them down. I guess I'm just a bug freak. So while we wait till that, what I want to do next, let's see. It's gonna take a minute, but I may show this later. But I've already, since I'm gonna show you, I'm just gonna tell y'all a couple of tricks before I go offline for those cooking dummies. When you have rice, no matter what brand it is, you do have to be careful. Do not cook your rice. Do not cook your rice without rinsing it over and over and over. A lot of time, people, what they do now, all these offering that I got today is from my sisters. Evidently, have, in Texas, especially if you live in Dallas, they have a lot of people, food banks, churches, and stuff give stuff away free. So what I've been doing, since she gave me some free stuff, I'm gonna use what she gave, even though it's nothing but a total of 3 people in our house. In my household, she has 3 boys, and plus she has friends, so she's going outside. So I'm gonna use some of her brands that she used. Now, I usually don't like this brand. We usually use organic and stuff like that, but I'm not going to let food go to waste. So since I'm going to make a rice pudding, this been soaking for over a while, and I've already rinsed it off more than once. The reason why you soak, the reason why you rinse, because you want to get all the dirt and grits, and you want to stir it around with your fingers, or stir it around with a spatula, a spoon or something. You want to shake up any loose gravel, dirt, dark rice. Like just a few minutes ago, I've already rinsed it once, but I was able to find this off inside of it. Because you got to remember, they don't clean everything just because it's in a package. You want it to run water. And you know, this rice water is good for your hair too, no matter what rice water you use. The only difference is, I have a video out there. White rice cooks faster because it's not healthy. A lot of people eat it, but it's not healthy. People assume that it's healthy. Of course, the brown rice and the other rices, there's other types of rice that are more healthier than white rice. But what I usually get is start buying is organic. There's one that started with L. Don't ask me, Lauderm or whatever. Don't ask me the name of it. Next time I'll show you that I buy, and I buy other brands. But since this is the brand that I don't know where they got it from. It's called Mercantile and Fancy. I've never even seen it before. It may be probably in one of those stores that grocery stores called Cost Plus, Cost Less, places like that. They sell little I want to say independent companies, that brands that come in the store, different farmers, but I'm not familiar with this brand. But we're going to use it for our rice pudding. Now, before I go off here, I'm just going to tell you the ingredients, and then later I may shoot a video once the rice is done. I'm going to go back live, and I'm going to do it while the rice is done. I'm not going to let you sit up here and wait for me to do the rice, but I wanted you to know the beginning steps is cleaning the rice and rinsing it off as much as you can. It's going to get clouded. Remember, the women or men that have hair loss, because I suffer that too. There's a lot of things in your kitchen that helps with the outer coat of your hair that we did not know until, Google, YouTube, and all this, and TikTok come on, and people tell you their cultural remedies for hair growth. But rice is supposed to be a good hair conditioner, just like apple cider vinegar. It's supposed to promotes hair growth. What they normally do is use that water or let it ferment and sit it in for 24 hours. Put it in spray bottles, spray their hair, and some leave it in, some just spray it in and put a bag over it and rinse it off. And they use this on a consistent method to help promote hair growth. I'm not consistent in nothing I'm doing when it comes to hair growth. I've been trying it because I have suffered with seborrheic dermatitis, and sometimes it just falls out. So what I eat, what I do, stress and stuff like that plays a part on hair growth. People don't realize and what you eat too. And your health illness has a lot to do with. A lot of people have health problems. They go bald because they think it's hereditary. And a lot of times it's what they're consuming, and it has a lot to do with their health. And I always recommend a metabolic doctor. Always get an endocrinologist, metabolic doctor if you want to know the root cause why you have diabetes. Because it's not always food. Sometimes it's genetic. It's your DNA makeup, something that's leading up to it. My lead up was Cushing's disease. What happened is I didn't know I have Cushing's disease until the last stages. And so when they called mine was close to death. So I do have a Cushing's disease angels page on Facebook that I share all my personal issues. And it's a hormone issues when it's talking about Cushing's disease for us, men and women. But it can be devastating, can lead to death. It has something to do with a tumor, got something to do with the pituitary gland, and it has something to do with your kidneys having tumors on them as well that prevents menstrual issues. Why are you talking about food and health? But I have to talk about it because all of it play hands in hands. So what we're consuming affects our life for a long term and short term. So it depends on how you take care of your health, depends on the longevity of your life. And you can reverse your if things is leading to death, you can reverse it. You just have to change your eating habits. And start looking at things that's going to promote health and prevent disease. That's the bottom line. But enough about rice water. I'm going to go on and cook this rice, and I'll see you all on my next next live, and we'll be talking about rice pudding, and I may make some cookies because these things that my grandson is asking for. Normally, I've been just relaxed. As long as he ain't over here, I just chill and don't do nothing. But you know, your grandchildren, I'm the only grandmother that can really cook, and I'm younger, and then because this grandchild just has 2 great grandmothers, and the mother's mother can't cook if they ain't about their life. They ain't about their life. But outside the family is, but I can cook. He always enjoy my food, and I always try to try something different. But he asked for cornbread, and he asked for homemade cookies. He wants me to cook popcorn. You know, they always want the junk food from you. And so I'm going to make a rice pudding because my brother like it. My son like it. And I'll give you little tips. It's nothing but sugar, rice, cinnamon. You need a little brown. You'll need a little cinnamon, not a lot. You will need banana pudding. You will use vanilla or banana. It doesn't make a difference. Banana pudding or vanilla pudding flavoring. That is sugar. Those sugar, butter, rice, and banana pudding in a little. You're gonna need the milk to make the pudding. So that it's gonna make it a custard. And you add the raisin last. Make sure you just buy some good quality raisins. That makes a whole lot because you don't want to get any raisins. Have you ever had any raisins that you bit down and you might bit on a piece of I'm gonna say the stick or the grass of it is part that because they didn't take it off and they got all the sweetener on it. Sometimes it be crunched up, stuck together because it got so much sweetener in. You want to make sure that it's they're not just oversaturated with sugar and crumble up, and you got to question if it's a twig or something in it. But I may have to use it because I'm going to use what she brings. And I may show you another day when I do go grocery shopping the difference in. People say raisins are raisin. No, everything you got is not the same. That's just like this rice. Everybody know about long rice. This is what this brand called long rice. This is it's not long. Every last one of them would be considered a short grain, but they consider this a long grain. And it's not. Let me see. I normally have, I guess they made up my brown rice. I thought I was going to show you the brown rice to show the difference in the long, because the grains are a little bit longer when it's off brand than versus this. This would be in a name brand bag. This would be a short grain versus a long grain. But this is what this company is calling it. You can barely see it. It's so little. It's little. It's very little. It's like it's broken to pieces. Oh, another trick I forgot to tell you about rice. How do you know that you got fake rice? You have to know if you got fake rice because some companies do mix plastic. And if that rice floats at the top of that water, that's a clear indication that is something that's not right with your rice. If you have water in here and it's if you put water up to the top, and the only reason I don't like this brand is questionable, but I'm gonna try it. But the rice is not floating. But if the rice was floating at the top, see, I don't like this rice because it's still cloudy. It's like, I don't know. I might have to go. I'm gonna cook it anyway. If the rice don't come out right, I'm gonna come back and buy another brand of rice. I'm trying to do the off brand. I really am, but I'm a stickler, like my mama said. Stick to the brands because it is a difference. People don't know it until they actually start cooking with other brands, that it is a difference in the texture and flavor of food. On brands has a lot to do with it. I already showed the difference in the sugar consistency, the powdery substances. It's a difference in all that stuff. None of it tastes the same. I've tasted different sugar canes that taste even different because the ingredients or the fermenting process of how they prepare it is totally different than other brands. You can tell the difference and sometimes it messes up your whole cooking flow. your textures, your taste, and everything. Believe it or not, cook flour, sugar, that basic, baking powder, baking soda. If you don't have if you mixing those brands, it's a different flavor texture. Because if you go buy a cake at Kroger's, Meteor's, Safeway, don't make this what store, and it could be the same bundt cake. Why them bundt cakes don't be the same? Because they're using different flour ingredients, and the texture is different. Some be thick, some be light and fluffy. It's a big difference. I don't care what nobody say. It's a difference. But I'm glad you all stay tuned and watch me make this cornbread. And part of what I will do is share the cornbread on the next video to see how it actually come out. I hope it come out good. Because that was just, and I wouldn't exactly like the ingredients. The only thing I added in is corn, because you have that option to add ingredients in there. But what I did like about the brand is how it tasted after you mixed it up. It still had like they poured a whole bunch of salt. That's the only thing. Sometimes it's best to do it ingredients by ingredients, but if you're not good on ingredients, stick to the pre-mixed self-rising mixture. That's all I'm gonna say. Stick to the self-rising until you get your ingredients down pat. And the only way you're gonna get them down pat is if you buy the proper utensils. You have to buy the proper utensils to help you measure the cups and stuff like that. And another thing, I think on one of my videos, I'm gonna say this trick. Even though I use these for those, these are tips for cooking dummies now. Professional cooks, I can do it with the regular measures or without a measuring. See, my mother could use it without the measuring because they knew, they had an eye for know what was 1 cup, 2 cups, 3/4. Some people know that because they have been cooking so long. But for those that do not know how to cook, if you buy this Pyrex, and there's other brands, if you ever turn it upside down, and if you don't know, or you turn it up like this and look into the light, it'll tell you this is 1 cup. If you throw the box away, this how you can use it as these are measuring tools as well as containers to store dishes in and food in, but yet still it's a storage container, but it tells you how much it is, and you can use this when you're doing your ingredients. This is 2 cups, and they go up in different sizes. There's other brands that does that too. So this, even if you're using the plastic, I can't even think of the name of it. Let me see if I got it. Even if y'all see what I did, one day I forgot the eye was on, and I put it on the eye, and so I had to clean up all that plastic off of it. But this brand, Rubbermaid, they're another brand. If you ever see the containers in there, they have those. So even if you don't have the utensils for 1 cup, 3/4, 1/3, you usually buy their storage containers. They have that, and you can use those same containers as measurements when you're cooking. Because everybody don't have it. But, you know, Rubbermaid and another brand, they have warranties on their stuff from wear and tear, but this wouldn't qualify because it melted. But what I want to say, why I keep stuff like this sometimes I slice stuff in. Sometimes I slice stuff on top of it, and I save it where I can, like, sweet potatoes. Now, my sister uses this, the one and good with sweet potato pies. I do the candy yams. I can do the sweet potato pies, but that's not my thing. I'm not really into the sweet potato pies, but everybody else in the house is. But she gave me these sweet potatoes. So I got to determine if I'm going to make a sweet potato pie. And if I do the sweet potato pie, I'm going to have to make the homemade crust, because I'm not going to buy any crust. Like only time I buy crust is if I'm limited on time and things that I gotta go do, if my schedule is busy. And let me let you know this, another tip before I go. Those that's out shopping for potatoes, this was free. I didn't go shopping and do this. This stuff was given free because, just like I said, Dallas have different food banks, churches, and stuff like this. And there's a lot of stuff. My sister went to Power Queen College, and they had her son goes to high school up there, middle school, whatever. They got a school up there for kids at the college. And evidently they had a program for a certain group of people. And so she was able to get a free turkey, some milk, and so forth. So what she couldn't use, she had already went grocery shop. She said, well, you come and get these. And so I took it. But a lot of time, Power Queen, they have their own gardening where they do a lot of gardening on their own. So I wouldn't be surprised this came off of Paul Quinn gardening or agriculture. They would call this trying to do agriculture for the past couple of years. But I'm going to say this. When you're shopping, how to not have stringy sweet potatoes. Do not buy sweet potatoes that have strings on it. You look for the ones that do not have a lot of veins. And of course, this is a stringy one. So when I boil these, they're going to be stringy. It's evident. This is not something that you really want in your sweet potato pies. You don't want a person, when you blend it, the first thing they pulling strings out. So it's learning how to picking the right one. You want to look at it. A lot of times, a lot of sweet potatoes, you'll see a lot of veins on it. Then you know it's going to be stringy with a lot of strings, roots. That root system is just too embedded in it. I'm going to, I don't know how this one is, but I don't like all those strings, so I'm going to cut it on the tip to see. So it looks like it's going to be okay because it's on the outside, but you won't know until you boil it. So I got to peel all these. I don't like how it feels, but it feel like it's stringy. This is the consistency by me even just rubbing this. It's kind of rough, like it's like stubbly. So when you see this, these are not what you want to buy for a sweet potato pie. You don't want to buy this. That's just a tip if you're a first time cooking. You're going to try to look for the ones with the least amount of strings. And sometimes you can't help it because the store doesn't care. They're just getting it and the load off of farmers. And we do want to help the farmers out there. But all of them are not good sweet potatoes. Sometimes you can get some sweet potatoes that's bitter. You won't know until you cook it. I bought some from Target one time. I was so disappointed they was bitter. They were no good. Sometimes you won't know until you finish cooking them that the potatoes are not edible or good. But you do want to make sure that you hand now. So I'm trying to make a miracle out of something that they gave away free. You see how they look? I would never have even if I was giving away something, I'm thankful for whatever it is, but I'm not going to just give anybody anything. But you still be grateful and you try to make the best out of what you can. And so you never want to put the rotted part in there either. You want to cut it away. See how the rot system, just because it's rotten doesn't mean that you can't eat it. But I'm going to use a potato peeler. Some people, you go the old-fashioned way and do the knife. Let me tell you this. This is the old-fashioned way, and I know about it. I know this lady got a video out. That's good that she did good. But let me tell you, you have to be very slow to peel it real thin where you leave most of the main ingredients out. That will take a long time. Most time when people are peeling potatoes, you know what happens? They leaving most of it where they end up throwing this away. Now, I'm going to tell you another thing. If you are a cooker and you do not know how to do candied yams, what you can do, you can make you know how to have baked potato? You can have sweet potato baked potatoes. The best sweet potatoes you can imagine. Y'all think I overcooked it. I'm here for a long time. Y'all heard it going off. That sugar kind of burnt it. But it seemed like it came out okay. Other than that sugar. See, if I had used Aunt Your Mama, it wouldn't even did that. It's hot right now, so I'm going to have to sit up there. My grandson called himself sneaking by. What happened is the butter grazed on top. Move back because it's hot. And you're on live, so you get out of my with no t-shirt.
Oh!
Okay. I can... the dog and him is trying to see what I'm cooking in the kitchen. Y'all, it tastes like it's gonna be okay, and I just scraped off the sugar and butter that was kind of dark. Let me see. Let me get a spoon. You know, y'all, I don't know about y'all who cooks in your house, but a lot of us cooks out of the kitchen, please. Nobody want to see you. Out. Both of y'all out.
Me.
Out.
They all want to see me.
Yeah, not today.
For famous.
They think they famous. Okay, this is the cornbread. It came out pretty good. It's buttery. Surprisingly, it came out good, you all. If you're a cook, you always taste the food before you give it to anybody else. Remember, this cornbread has I made homemade cream corn because I just had the regular canned corn, which is another brand I've never used or heard of before. I've never seen this brand before, but this was given to my sister for free. And it was whole kernel golden corn. So what I end up doing is adding a little sugar, creams, milks, and butters to make me some, and mashed it up a little to make the cream corn. And that's what I added. I drained the can, and then I put it in the skillet and let it cook. And that's how I was scooping the cream corn out, because I had made cream corn homemade since I didn't have any cream corn. Because every time I go to the grocery store, the ingredients I'm looking for, they're not in the stores anymore like they used to. So when you're seeing this stuff, it's best to buy it up, because the inflation, economy, these people are not delivering to all stores in certain neighborhoods equally. See, I got a problem, y'all. Who know about that making some milk? See, y'all don't know this. Having milk and cornbread in your cup and chopping it up. My granddaddy used to do that and put a little sugar on it and just eat that. Ooh, you talking about some fill of good cornbread and milk? Cornbread is good and buttery. It has the butter flavor, so it surprised me. It came out good. Now, the only thing I will not do is add sugar when I make the homemade dressing, because I'm gonna have to make another batch of cornbread, but the cornbread is gonna be for the dressing later on this week. So I will make it old-fashioned, the old-fashioned dressing, basic dressing, how it always be, without all that extra stuff that everybody added. And I'm just gonna do a simple basic, and I'm gonna make my own dressing. I only make my only Giblet gravy. I know how to make gravy thanks to my mom. And as a cookie dummy, you always want to learn how to do the basics. You want to know how to make an egg over easy. You always want to know how to make biscuits, because those are basics. You want to know how to make gravy. Start from the beginnings. Practice on getting that down pat, and everything else will start graduate. You'll learn how to make different sauces and gravies and dips and stuff like that once you learn how to make a basic gravy. And there's more than one way to make gravy. But I want y'all to see the cornbread. I'm always sneaking and eating the cornbread, y'all. Y'all just don't know. I'm gonna gain more weight than what I'm supposed to. Out. I'm gonna put water on you. Out. She's love food. She be hoping that we drop something on the floor. But on sweet potatoes, just remember, if you're gonna make a sweet potato pie, make sure you get some good sweet potatoes. And it's a trial and error. So I don't know if I'm gonna make candy yams. My grandson likes candy yams, or I'm gonna make sweet potatoes. That's the question. But I am gonna peel them later on. And hopefully you enjoy this segment. I'm gonna go and boil my rice, and I'll talk to you later. And the ones that watched my live, I really appreciate it. Thanks for those that gave likes. And I'll be cooking more in the kitchen. I'm just dealing with traditional cooking, helping those that cannot cook, the basics. And for those that are always trying to cook for their boyfriends, stop buying that box food, frozen food. Isn't wrong. Sometimes being in the kitchen it's your own me time, and it helps you relieve some stress. Sometimes get in the kitchen and cook, because you'll be surprised. It'll give you a clear thought. You can think about things thoroughly, and it just puts you in your own zone in the world, as long as no one else comes interrupting you in the kitchen. Hopefully you enjoy. See y'all later.